President will be here in a second, but he's stuck in a conversation.
All right.
Welcome to press availability today. We're always happy to take questions and respond when we can to the issues. Today we passed our base budget bills, and that amounted to about $13.8 billion according to Senator Hilliard. Today he was talking about it on the floor, and that doesn't leave much, but at least we got that much done, and it shows that we're significantly down the path in the session this year to be able to get the base budget passed. Now we'll, of course, start working on building blocks and looking at some of the other requests that are coming to the appropriations committees. So we'll open it up to questions.
So you missed the noon deadline for that, though. Is there any kind of punishment aside from a tisk that you get?
We waived the rules. First thing we did.
It's in rule that we need to do by noon, but we had suspended the rules.
We have done that.
And we got there by
before, so.
12:04, wasn't it? It's a different story in the last night of the session, though. That's in Constitution.
Gotcha.
What's up in the caucus today?
We have another discussion coming up in caucus today on workforce development that Senator Miller has been working on. Try to make sure that we have a trained workforce for all of the jobs that we have that are coming to the state, to make sure that we have people with degrees where degrees are needed, or certificates, but mainly to have them trained to be able to do the jobs that we have. So that's going to be a main part of the discussion today.
Senator Maine, what's your agenda in caucus?
Oh, I've got the best bill in the world. Well, it is. They're all good, but this afternoon, or hopefully this afternoon or coming up soon, is I've been working on a bill for 2 years with the Congressman Chaffetz, and it's for the postal workers to be called up in times of national or state emergency. And it'll be the first state, be landmark, be the first state to do it, and he has having it, taking it federally. He sits over oversight of the postal workers, and so he has visions of making them more universal, which I do too. So we're going to have that piece of legislation, and I'm excited about that. Utah will be first. Y'all gonna vote for it?
Good.
Great.
What does that mean?
What it means is they
Like,
have.
what did he ask to do?
Well, I'll give you an example for that. Let's say they can do, it's a feasibility study from the state to the feds, but they already do that anyway. The Department of Safety meets with them regularly, and so that's all in place. So the conversation will be is how do we implement, put in place to use the postal workers. I live in 84120, and so this is just an example of that. So all of a sudden there's a catastrophe there, an earthquake or whatever, so they can call up those postal workers that were in 84120. They know where everybody lives. They can get into any condo, anything. They can do, they have access to everything. They're a trusted commodity. So they can call, they're not first responders. They can call them up and they can say, okay, there's no homes here. Who lives here? Well, she lives alone, but really not, because there's mail coming there. Well, who lives here? Well, there's a family there, but it seems to be, I'm delivering more mail to that. They know the area. The post offices have gas, lots of gas. So that's available. They can be used as headquarters. And I mean, we can use them for any, and then they will come back down. If we use them for hours, for a couple days, and their little vehicles have GPSs on them, it's just a valuable tool to make them universal. So I'm excited about that.
Will we see their postal cars be transformed to look like Humvees?
Well, you know, that's an option. If my senators want to vote for that, I think that's okay.
Only in Senator Maine's district.
That's okay. Yes.
Any other questions?
That's funny, I didn't know that funny.
You guys got the second reading calendar this afternoon?
We were there this morning.
For 30 seconds.
Well, for half an hour.
4 minutes too long.
That's true.
You doing House bills or Senate bills this afternoon?
Senate bill. Yes, Senate day. But we do need to get the base bills passed. And House was addressing Senate-based bills this morning also. Vice versa.
I can just tell you on the appropriations process, we'll continue doing that next week. And hopefully all the committees will have what they call their prioritization lists. And they will do some reallocating within their committees. But then we get our new revenue figures, we hope, on the 22nd. And then we'll start making the final decisions as to what goes where.
Any questions from our viewers, Kirsten?
We did have one person text in, they don't know what a base budget is.
Well, we have the master of budgets to explain that.
Well, the base budget, we enact that right the very first because we found that most of the things in the budget, you're really not going to change. For example, the WPU, you're not going to change that, the amount. And so why leave that out just wondering about it? So for the $13.8 billion takes care of probably 95 to 100% of our, not 100%, we got some more money we have to put in our budget. So they're in place, so we don't worry about those. Although actually we can go back in those budgets and change those as we do our final budget, because the final bill that passes is a controlling one. So say, for example, we funded something in one of the budgets, and as we get down to the final thing, we find that there's something more important, we can always go back and take it out of the base budget and move it over into what we need there. But we've just found by getting that off the table and doing those things, it gives us a good view, especially to come back a year later after you've done the budget, to come back a year later. And the advantage is if we get to the end of the session, we can't come to some agreement, we have a base budget in place that we can leave and the government won't stop. And I think that's really an important thing for all of us, that now we're in that position that we have a budget, and it takes a lot of pressure off of, I won't say games, but sometimes things are done the last night or that hold everybody hostage. But with a base budget, you don't have that same pressure on you.
But essentially, the base budget is last year's budget. We sometimes lower that base budget, but we have revenue growth this year, so it's pretty much last year's budget. We've been working on the bills for 2 weeks now, and we passed a base budget, and now we will work on building blocks. We have 500, well, we don't know yet, but at least the forecast in December was $500+ million to appropriate over and above what we had last year. And now our committees will be focused on prioritizing that money, and we'll come back with a final budget bill towards the end of the session.
You may have forgotten that our process rounds up almost $40 million of money that will be reallocated that they've identified. I'm confident, talking to the chairs, that there's probably other reallocations that they could do and may have to do, depending on what the revenues come in, the requests that we get.
So is everybody going to get what they want now that you work on appropriations? Or is it going to be one of those years where you can't always get what you want?
I can tell you, as I told my children, nobody gets everything they want.
The requests are a lot more than what the revenue forecasts.
I haven't seen the latest sheet, but just the sheets of requests for appropriations, I'm sure is over $100 million. And I think when you throw fiscal notes in there and then you get the building blocks of the committees, I wouldn't be surprised if they're not over $1 billion. And if we get, even if we get what we projected at $560 million, we're only about halfway there. So many committees know that. They put things in priority. And sometimes it's important for people to know that they've been heard and they've at least gotten on a list. And so it's, I think, a therapeutic thing to do.
I sit in a committee this morning where there's about $5 million to reallocate, and there's about $71 million in requests.
And our job is to balance all that, hear the testimony and figure out where that money should go that will best help the citizens of the state of Utah. Any other questions? Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I think it is therapeutic, though, because when everyone on the committee is hearing the request from everybody else, they see how difficult it is going to be. They see what the competition is, and everybody understands that it's going to just be really tough to get things funded, even though we are able to put ideas out there.
Thank you for the question. I hope that answers it. Budgets are not easy. It's kind of an accountant thing, and so for those non-accountant minds, it's sometimes difficult to grasp some of those concepts, but we hope that that was a good answer for you.
I'd just add one other thing too. We really do give a lot of deference to the committee. So if the committee's recommended and have a prioritization list, we really try to follow that as best we can, as far as we can.
I don't see any more questions, so we hope to see y'all tomorrow, and maybe we'll have some more exciting news for you. Thank you.
Do you guys have to send me these ones?